Peter Rabbit 2 by Mandy Archer. Adapted from the screen story and screenplay by Will Gluck and Patrick Burley. Read by Emilia Fox. Chapter 1. Cock-a-doodle-doo! J.W. Rooster II crowed loudly on a glorious summer's day outside McGregor Manor. There is no better way to start a story than at a wedding. Love, hope, and woodland animals. And this is where our story starts. The beautiful wedding about to take place was filled with the finest of the finest. Chairs, flowers, balloons. Johnny Townmouse, a very well-dressed city mouse, was joined by 3 similarly well-dressed mice. The quartet began to sing. The groom, a man named Thomas McGregor, waited at the altar for his bride-to-be. He was flanked, not by best men, but 2 small rabbits. Peter was a determined and clever bunny with a cheeky grin and a knack for getting into trouble. His cousin Benjamin was wise, supportive, and looked for all the world as if his ears had been stuck on upside down. Peter and Benjamin, of course, were not the only animals in attendance. The bride, Bee, was a dear friend to a host of countryside creatures. Her guest list included ducks, badgers, foxes, and a very prickly hedgehog called Mrs. Tiggywinkle. At this moment, all of these animals were trying to pin tiny buttonhole bouquets onto their tiny jackets. Bee appeared, dressed in a heavenly white wedding dress. She blushed with happiness, then started to make her way down the aisle towards Thomas. 3 delightful rabbits skipped in front of her, scattering rose petals along the path. Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail were Peter's triplet sisters. "She's so beautiful," Mopsy whispered breathlessly. Flopsy concentrated hard, repeating over and over, "Not going to cry, not going to cry." The 3rd bunny, Cottontail, shot them a look. Softies. She liked to think of herself as tougher than her sisters. She heard more snuffling behind and turned to see Pigling Bland following in their wake, snorting up the rose petals. "Beat it, Pig," she told him. Pigling Bland closed his mouth abruptly, swallowed, and tried to look innocent. Bee finally made it to the altar and kissed her father. Her father shook Thomas's hand as the officiant stepped to the front. "Welcome, friends, large and small, 2-legged and 4, she said, smiling at the guests as Thomas patted Peter on the head and Peter smiled. "We are gathered here today to join Bee and Thomas in holy matrimony." Benjamin whispered to Peter. "You're taking this so well," he said. When Thomas McGregor had first arrived in Windermere, things had got off to a very shaky start. Thomas's great-uncle, the first Mr. McGregor, had lived next door to Bee for years. The old grump absolutely hated the rabbits who stole vegetables from his garden. Every waking moment was spent guarding his beans, carrots, and lettuces. Then, on one terrible day, Mr. McGregor had managed to catch Peter's father and bake him in a pie. Peter had never forgiven him. It was understandable, therefore, why Peter and the young Mr. McGregor had not seen eye to eye at first. But things were different now. Peter was a changed rabbit. "He's a good man," Peter nodded, gazing up at the couple beside him. "Makes her happy." "And also a special day for their family, the beloved rabbits," continued the vicar. "Welcoming a new parent, a father, if you will." Peter frowned. "Father?" Suddenly, and without warning, the rabbit lunged at Thomas. Flopsy
Sample complete. Ready to continue?